Okay.
What?
They said you don't have to say anything. And I said, but I want to. I don't think you get it.
No.
Okay. I'll tell you later. May I?
Pardon?
I said, may I?
May you what?
Life with the galactic. Keep going.
May you
Keep
what?
going. No, keep going. Keep going.
I haven't started yet. I'm just trying to get into the zone.
Okay.
Okay, so I'm just being told that they were saying you're not any of that anymore. Anything and everything that anyone ever thought that you were has been cleared. You're no longer energetically attached to any of it. And what any of those whom have those attachments have of you is with them in the way that they've created. It is like all judgment from your perspective on your life or your past or another has been lifted collectively enough to completely collapse.
Yes.
There is an opportunity here for all behaviour now to match that cleansing. And old behaviour that comes is from that and is no longer needed and would be very wise to catch oneself in it as quickly as possible. As these new neural pathways are creating themselves, the old ones too will die away. One might call it a massive release on karma. A massive collective release for those wanting this. And you know what happens when you completely let go of something. there was a co-creation, when you completely neutralize it in yourself, then it is felt more deeply on the other creator. This has brought up a lot of guilt and shame. Predominantly being addressed in the last few weeks by our beloved brothers.
Mm-hmm.
As he owns this or takes responsibility for it, completely neutralizes it. It lifts the frequency of the planet as a whole. She felt herself receive another leap in her own self-empowerment. These are simply two parts of the one, as a co-creation of ongoing separation. You are recoding yourselves at the moment. First comes the awareness, and then the neutralization, and then the embodiment, and the learning and practicing of the new code.
I know this has happened. Are you okay?
Yes, why?
Are you coughed? So the masculine is laying on his back on the earth. When his arms are stretched out above him on the ground, and he's so big that his body follows the curvature of the earth, of the mini earths. So part of what's occurred is that this information has been coming in, as well as the pure coding of the human experience, right, at the same time. But the balance was too much in the human. So now we could call it the galactic or the, the multidimensional. That stuff is coming in. And where the feminine got it with the higher intuition, naturally, the masculine has now got it. And as he lays on the earth, it's obviously a metaphor. His crown, his third eye, his throat, his hearts, all of his chakras are fully receiving the energy as she as the feminine energy has. So there's some kind of balance that's come into play where he, to use your terms, has come to terms with everything. So everything you said a while ago, that's when for me, it's when the understanding came in and all the chakras aligned with that intelligence. So in the end, when this, we would describe distorted masculine, patriarchal, reptile, whatever it was, came in, not only was the divine feminine suppressed, but the divine masculine was suppressed. And he was, well, never broken. And for some reason, I can say that it truly has landed in some kind of physical way. So the coding, the intelligence coming from two different directions is now becoming one language. And the last thing, when I have to say it, I know this because the presence of what I guess we would call the Father God has landed as she did, the Queen. And when he came in a few days ago, he reminded me that what you are right now in all your consciousness, all your energetic fields and bodies, you have never been at a greater point, none of you. And the reason for that is because of the level of awareness gained from being a human being in the shadow work and so on. And he said, when he left, he said, just remember what you came into this with, you reconnected with, but what wisdom and what knowledge and so on that you created in the experience is what the new creations come from. Okay. Oh, I remember what he said. You're not who you are because of what you were before you came here. You are who you are because of what you have come through to be right here, right now. And when he told me that, he was talking about me. But obviously it would apply.
Have you got a dog in your house?
No, it's next door or something. I think what that means to me is the physical male, the third eye of the physical male has opened to the level that the women have been at. And an example would be like Michael Muir. His third eye has been where yours has been the whole time, right? So imagine all the men being like him.
Mm-hmm. Yes. There's watching a collective releasing that's been happening in the last few days to a week, particularly for the masculine energy. A massive releasing of guilt and shame.
Yes. Excuse me.
And this was done by agreeing to release and let go of all the judgments.
I must say this. And the shame did not come from what he did to her or him. The shame came from what was done to him by him.
Brilliant. You all judiciously did this necessary work to co-create this extensive and transformative energy in the new grid. A significant raise in frequency for the collective.
Mm.
In the circles this week, you stopped. You experience activation of the heart, the throat, third eye, and then it connected directly to the sacral. And this is an activation of empowered, self-empowered creation. You will all see each other. Another way to see this would be having extracted yourself out of the 3D frequency and into, like heads above the clouds, into the 5D frequency.
Hmm. The masculine energy collectively is unified. The feminine energy has been unified at a high enough degree for a long time. So now, with small percentage in numbers, but big percentage in energy, the masculine energy is unified. We'll start to see this. Obviously, divine masculine. That part that was suppressed.
And what are the attributes of the divine masculine?
The divine masculine can communicate equally with a feminine energy. So, some would describe that as softness, but it's not soft. It's much more than anything like that. It's the feminine higher band of frequency on the earth, and so that divine masculine can hold that, know that, be connected to that. That's why you see them; they would get along with have friends that were female and male, but that didn't fit, and that's the same thing where I said what he did to himself. So that softness, which is not weak, which is very, very powerful, combined, when you have the masculine representing it, it combines the women's power and their softness. That's true. And so what we're normally seeing is alpha expressions seen as manhood. And we'll start to see men stepping up like that man the other day and really show men what true power is, which is admission, which is he did it to himself. His brothers did it to him. I mean, think about how the story started. They came in, they enslaved them. They said, we'll breed the beautiful women, and if you don't breed with us, we'll kill your husbands. And they killed the husbands anyway and raped them, and and that's where it started. So that was him. And so he was puny and small. That's where he came from. And I think that's very important, because the answer to the question is the very, very opposite of that. And it's profound. So this is one of the things we'll start to see. The rest of it, I would say, as far as attributes, reserved, wise, defers to her, but as she defers to him, but always to her, ultimately, because it doesn't matter. Just, I don't know how to really explain it, but I guess you would just say his presence speaks for itself. And it might look like a matriarchal society or realm. It's really not. It's just that the imprint of the mother is the well, it's the natural way. Sorry, I'm out there. But I thought, I think for the first time in my life, well, it's true, for the first time in my life, I can relate to listening to you and other women say that the feminine have done this or done that. I felt things before, but this, when I tell you that he's laying on the earth and his body is big enough, he follows the curvature of her, and all the chakras were turned on all over and everything else that came in with you, and it all correlated with the, I don't know what you would call it, but to me, it's he's getting what she's getting. And that's what I know. I saw a ceremony tonight before when I was walking, and I was getting downloaded very heavily, and I don't really know fully what it means, but I think it has something to do with what I might have just said. And it would be in a more living on the land, primitive type of thing, tribal, like a village. And all the men were together. I was with all the men, and we were joined together, and we were discussing what we wanted to create for her. And we were all discussing it. It felt really familiar, and it was really it was loving, and it was almost kind of fun. It was fun because we knew that what we came up with, we would go to them, and it would be the most incredible discussion, the most incredible, like we wouldn't know what would happen. It never would be anything you could predict. So we went, and I stood before you, and they all stood before theirs. And and we presented it like almost like a high school play, like a Christmas show. And it was pretty cool. And I didn't think that I would remember it, and I didn't think I would talk about it. I mean, I wouldn't even think about that. But something very magical has happened, and I think for me, as much as I know it has, if I had to describe what has happened, it is that let's just say the masculine incarnated species, I don't know how to really explain it, but he realized his biggest shame came from what he did to himself, what his brother did to him, what he did to his brother. I mean, it's all the same thing. She had nothing to do with it. And that's where the greatest shame came. And that's why what that man did the other day, that energy is that attribute that you're talking about. I don't even know what the word is. So something really big has happened.
What man did what the other day?
The man, Daniel DeKirk, that came on and talked about looking
Yeah,
at.
okay. I've got,
Yes.
yeah, okay. So he's distorted sexual energy. Yeah.
Well, the fact that he talked about it, you see, the fact that he actually said it, he
Yes.
said, and that's what I'm saying. See, men own up. We're embodied and own up to they're part of it, basically.
Yes.
And so when you say the attributes, I mean, that's something I can't describe because and that's why I said if someone were to ask me, what do you really feel like just happened? Well, I told you, but I wouldn't say like, oh, we can do this now, that. No, 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 no. No, it is that I realized what my greatest shame was when my brother made fun of me, but, or where I made fun of my little brother, or, where it wasn't her. And I don't even know what that means, but I know it means something to the man who's walked on this earth. Mm. Mm. in this. When he discovered what I'm telling you today, for the only time, he never knew what it felt like, although he'd said the words before, but he thought he knew what he was talking about. And part of this energy, this attribute that you're talking about, is being able to say anything to her without any fear of anything. And and so the statement is, he realized in that moment, from the human perspective, well, whatever, how long she waited, what she was waiting for. Because he was already going through how he didn't see it and all that stuff. But that was something that the masculine energy needs to say to the feminine energy, and that the feminine energy, it's encoded, we'll all benefit from healing. It's a fact. I actually obviously went through this days ago.
As he let go of his distorted power, he immediately stepped into more of his personal power, his true personal power, and was delighted to meet her there, standing right next to him. She had previously, in the previous days or week or so, allowed the parts of him that she saw as distorted power die, and she let go and released and surrendered again. And therefore, with those parts, that old dream having died, then he immediately began his part of clearing to rebirth himself as her new dream. Which in pure truth is their dream. They both wanted this enough to create it into their realities. And that is reverence, and tenderness, and respect, and truth, love, and self-accountability. Are simply part of love.
nothing that came before us has been able to reach this level, this opportunity, potential. None of our incarnations on this earth, none, not as a whole. Pockets were saved, a few. Like the Mayan. So, Father God, he showed me this the other day, and he showed me the importance of twins. And he told me how it all works, and he showed me how it all works. And he said to me that it's what you said. We chose to take this on. And he said that at the same time we were chosen for it, but that, and I asked him why, and he said because of what you had achieved, or what have you experienced and achieved together in the, the end all, which is always to expand to a higher level. And he said that no one ever knows. There's no guarantee, and there's always that risk. And so we were chosen because we had a very high probability to come out whole and to, reach that Trinity energy. And then he basically explained it to me like this. He said that, because I asked him, do you know, does the mother know what will happen? He said no. There's that little part we don't know, but that's the part that we carry with us that we don't understand. And he said, basically, you're here because of the way you love. And in our case, it was the way we love each other. But he made it very clear. That's when he told me what I said earlier. He made it very clear. He said, you are not who you are based on who you were before you started this earth process. You are the biggest you've ever been because you've added the experience and you've transmuted and so on to carry a space that you're carrying for all of us, parts of it that we've never experienced, that we're experiencing through you. So it was very profound, but that's when he said that, was at the end. I just have to tell you this because it might make you feel better. He also told me that, and I'm only telling you this because of the second part, being on the front end of the masculine transformation, my body's beyond my physical body and consciousness, my human mindset were like magnets and picked it up, but my human had a very difficult time. So it was a lot of kinetic energy. And so, like, again, this may be an attribute that you'd asked about earlier, but that, I guess you would say, balance. Now that I've aligned with it and understand it, my motions would be fewer, but my results would be more creative and powerful, if that makes sense.
How, I don't understand how that was going to make me feel better.
Oh, because she was sensitive to the patterns that weren't released, and it was a bit frustrating for her because she held the ground she did. So the shift in him has alleviated, discrepancies in many ways, right? And one of those is in the day-to-day function, men and women, right? Especially with relationships. So in other words, there's an element that, let's say, a dynamic that he brings to the table in the old paradigm that will no longer be there at all, because his state is more even keeled, balanced, and I think, a couple of the words that came up earlier, reserved. I don't know if that's the right word, but like, kind of like do less, say more, or say less, but you're saying more, something like that.
Yeah, there seems to have been a big shift in, like the throat chakra, bringing more balance in with the ear chakras as well, like them operating better. A lot of people, like I said to you the other day, a lot of people, somebody will start telling a story, and before their story's even finished, they'll jump in to share their version of it, how it happened to them, or they know someone that happened to. Cutting off.
Mm-hmm.
So, like imbalances in that throat chakra area, there seems to have been aligned and connected with the heart chakra and third eye chakra as well, is very suggestive that there's going to be an expansion in our abilities to create. Once all of those things are locked into place and we've had practice on how it works now, where love and respect and integrity and trust and truth, they've all created together evenly. So an expansion coming in our creative abilities, manifestation, creation abilities. And by no means is it 100% done. In the ethers or in this a certain dimension, it is done, and it's up to the human to clear where necessary, if necessary, to recognize and notice, let the awareness of those things come in and clear them at the awareness point in time. But a huge amount has simply been released and surrendered and collapsed.
So I don't know why, but for the third time, I'm supposed to, I don't understand it, but it's important. Something happened, or something's happening where the masculine on the masculine, because in these earth incarnations, it seems it was only the human that suffered. It's not true. the soul felt. And this was very deep. So there's men all over the world, right, that are like he did the other day. It's not what you said, it's how you said it. And they're coming to terms with their cousin, their brother, forcing them at 3 years old, 4 or 5, whatever it is, and doing whatever. And it wasn't just the sexual, it was many, many other things. The brutality, there are many things, all shame related that has that, like you said, it doesn't mean it's done, but it's 100% accessible.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a very, 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 it is darker than the shadow created between him and her. It is nasty, but we're in a space where it can be spoken of, it can be brought to light.
Yes. I'm being told that words like sabotage or self-sabotage, self-punishment, self-sabotage, persecution, like all of that, all of those energies have been massive programs of how this was played out. I think we should pause there, Todd.
I think we should